Welcome to a very special episode of Around the Blockchain. I'm the guest host, SBF, and today we're talking about the Bitcoin white paper. It's its birthday, and also ETH ETFs. It's going to be a great one. This is Around the Blockchain. Where's Karen? I said cucumber. Anyways, thanks for joining, folks. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like button because we got 3 phenomenal guests. We might even see a costume or 2, folks. Starting off, you know what? His name is Drew, and he knows what's true. He buys Bitcoin when he's happy. He buys Bitcoin when he's blue, or also shirtless. Drew, how are you doing today?
It's hot down here, so I just threw this on.
Yes.
I forgot that it was Halloween. I would have dressed up if it was Halloween. So sorry about that. But
you know what? All's well that ends well. Also on today, then we have Jackie. She's not a channel lackey. She just dropped a video on Discover, and it might get a little wacky. Jackie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad to see you're not too busy playing League to join us today.
Oh, no. See, I simultaneously host and play League, but that's why I'm still in bronze. You know, it's charming to JP Morgan investors. Also on today, we have Metam Matt. He usually wears shades. He can't let go of his favorite gaming token, even as it fades. Metam Matt, how are you doing? Are you frozen? He is frozen. Hey, there he goes. How are you doing, Matt?
Hey, what's up, DZ? Always a pleasure, man. Man, that wig, that resemblance to SBF is uncanny, brother.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I am SBF. All right, well, let's get into the billionaire flipping bullish, everybody. Talking about Paul Tudor Jones. I don't know if we could share the image. It's a great little image here. It's 2 old white male billionaires there, but he recently spoke about Bitcoin. It was during a fireside chat with Paul Tudor Jones, and the 70-year-old billionaire said he doesn't have any Bitcoin, but stated, I should, which is a huge 180 for the traditional investor. He's long been going on TV for years and years and years saying stay away from Bitcoin. You don't want to get anywhere near it. But just like Larry Fink, just like others, softening that stance a little bit. But he also talks about gold, compares to Bitcoin here. Said they're similar because he says Bitcoin is a strong brand. Well, at this point, it's been around, I think, 17 years. But he says, I like gold better because it's a 5,000-year-old brand versus a 17-year-old brand. During the chat, he also criticized Janet Yellen just for being a pretty bad Treasury Secretary there. All right, Drew, I'm going to go to you first here. Now, Paul Druckenmiller, he's been talking on, Fox Business News, MSNBC, all the Squawk Box. He's been going on these shows for years. You can see the New York Stock Exchange in the background. He's like, yeah, you got to stick with stocks. You got to stick with gold, stick with Treasury, stay away from Bitcoin. Well, now he's doing a 180 here. Will that 180 move the needle with any of these older established investors who have been watching him over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think so. These are people that their opinions are valued. So at the end of the day, it takes people time. Let's just talk about the older generation, right? They're set in their ways. And as they always say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? So whenever somebody actually comes out and kind of leads the charge on that, and as much as I hate to admit it, and I know a lot of people are going to hate this, but Kevin O'Leary, he's from the older generation as well. He's not like as well known as he's not like a hedge fund manager or anything like that. But people like that flipping, people like the BlackRock CEO flipping, people from actual TradFi flipping and coming around on this, all the big banks. I think it's trending at this point towards the majority of TradFi is going to be coming in and saying, yeah, we understand blockchain is an integral asset. Whether they understand that Bitcoin is a really good store of value or whether they understand that blockchain just as a whole, as a technology is good. I think you can have one with you can't really have one without the other, but you can use blockchain without being pro Bitcoin. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think it's absolutely a very, very good indication as to where we're going to go in the future for sure.
All right. Well, one key part of that future, one key indicator here is going to be what you could consider the Bitcoin brand, maybe just what people generally think when you say the word Bitcoin. Jackie, kind of want to know, not to the bubble, not to the viewers at home, not to the people that you might bore at Thanksgiving, in the next few weeks when you want to tell them about the awesomeness of the orange coin there. But what do you think is the Bitcoin brand to the general public, to the 8 billion people out there? What's the general consensus?
I think there's still a lot of misinformation out there. And I think that the best way to start crafting that argument is what Druckenmiller has done, where he says he compares it to gold, because this is a physical asset that people can actually understand. It's a finite resource. And therefore, you have the older generation that can't quite grasp this blockchain concept, this like, well, how does digital money get mined on a computer? That's a crazy concept to some people who can barely work their freaking cell phone most of the time. So I think convincing them, or at least showing them, that it has a tangible value in the same way that a physical asset like gold has done for them, they very much understand the way that that converts into fiat, or the way that that backs up fiat and backstops a whole entire economy. So I think these are baby steps. I think also being able to educate people that cash commits far more nefarious actions than Bitcoin ever does. I think there's a huge misconception that Bitcoin as a brand is used for hackers and drug dealers and terrorists and nefarious means and all kinds of things. So I think re-educating people to understand that crypto is far less dangerous than cash, specifically Bitcoin, because it has a blockchain you can trace, and that it really does have more of a gold standard in this space.
Yeah, when I think of Bitcoin brand, I do think of two things. I think of just the decentralized nature. And then, of course, me personally, I have to think of the polycule for whatever reason. All right, Metam Matt, I want to ask you, now this is a hypothetical here. Really, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's not talked about metric. It's something that really people haven't been paying attention to. I think we can all agree there is somewhat of an influx of institutional investors, whether it's BlackRock, Van Eck, whether it's Paul Tudor Jones, or even Kevin O'Leary telling his buddies who are all billionaires at the dinner table here. I think we're seeing a little bit of an influx of these large institutional traders. I want to ask you, during the bull market, during the Bitcoin peak, who's going to be more responsible for dumping on retail? Is it going to be the Paul Druckenmillers? Is it going to be the Larry Finks? Or will it be the miners like it is every time? So my question is, who's dumping harder, miners or the old billionaires?
DZ, I definitely think that it's going to be the institutional investors. I believe that they have already invested. A lot of them have into Bitcoin. I think when they're telling you to stay away from it, they're definitely doubling down on it. They see what it's done the last cycle. They know that we have a halving right around the corner, and that right now definitely it's bullish. So I bet you a lot of these guys are loading up, and I think they're going to be the ones to dump hard. I think the miners, I think they'll be dumping too, but I think a lot of them know what kind of situation we're going into in the financially in the world, and I think they're going to hold on to a bit more than they did in the past. Just my personal opinion on that.
All right. So it says Geraldo Rivera, 1970. Google it. Maybe don't Google it. I don't know. Risky link of the day. All right. Let's talk about the ETH ETF countdown. Like I said, we have the days revealed. We're going to give you the end date, and then we'll give you the scenarios. Will it play out? Will it not play out here? But they joined Bitcoin in having a deadline for the ETF here. It's Grayscale's Ethereum trust application. They want to convert to the spot ETF here. And now the SEC has a 240-day process. That begins today. Let's, if we could share my screen here, 240 days from now, it's going to be Thursday, June 27th, 2024. So about 6 months, 7 months, and 6 months into the next year here. Grayscale Trust here is going to be the largest ETH asset manager, by the way. How much ETH does Grayscale have? 3 million ETH, worth about $5 billion at the moment. So we're expecting a lot of movement with this. All right. Now, Drew, I felt like there was, when you first heard the whispers of BlackRock ETF, if you just would have started spot buying Bitcoin, you're up. If you bought a year ago, you're up over 100% today, right? Well, that makes me think maybe there's a similar opportunity with Ethereum today. Is it worth trying to front run the Ethereum ETF today, or is the June target maybe not realistic? We should maybe wait a while.
The king of all Norway likes ETH at any time. Okay, that's first and foremost. Okay, Wolfer Finance is one of our biggest assets that we house. It's for a reason, right? So I would not say don't go buy ETH, right? I would also not say don't go buy Bitcoin. I would also not say don't go buy gold, right? I like all of these things, but here's the thing. I think that this is a good time to, and not financial advice, obviously. Do your own research, do your own thing. I'm just the guy on YouTube with the braids that gives you the information in a fun and entertaining way, right? I would say definitely is a good time to buy ETH, especially for the simple fact that even if the spot ETFs for Ethereum don't get approved, even because we do have one more before this, which is Kathy Woods over at and 21 shares, right? They've applied before Grayscale did. And if one of them gets approved, obviously ETH is going to go crazy. But even if the Bitcoin ETFs get approved, which are slated to be decided on before then, I think the Bitcoin ones for like January 8th or something like that, January 13th, something like that, then ETH could go crazy without an ETF approval. So I would say I'm bullish on ETH with or without it, but I'm definitely more bullish on ETH with it. Here's the thing though, even if they do convert it over to an Ethereum from the Ethereum trust, and this is a key integral thing, if they convert it over from the trust, then they do have 5 million ETH, or 3 million ETH. What was it? 3 or 5?
It is, let's see here. We have 3 million ETH worth 5 billion.
Yeah, so they already have 3 million ETH. So their position's already built. So we got to take that into account as well. Unless there's enough demand that flows into it, more than $5 billion, right? Or whatever the price is at the time, what it's worth, then ETH probably isn't going to pump. But if more ETFs like Kathy Woods gets approved, or more shares than what they have in physical ETH get sold, then absolutely bullish for ETH. But I'm bullish on ETH either way.
All right, I like your theory. If the Bitcoin thing is kicked down the, cans down the road, people are going to be like, well, I got to put my money somewhere. So yeah, maybe even a bullish case scenario. What was it? YG, AG, great wig, scary even. What are you talking about? That's not a wig. All right, BJ, could we share my screen one more time? I want to bring up, Grayscale applied for this Bitcoin trust a while ago. Was it October? Not this year, not last year. 2 years ago, they first applied to convert this Grayscale Bitcoin trust into an ETF. We're over 2 years later, still hasn't happened. Well, Jackie, Grayscale had to wait years, and we're still waiting years for the Bitcoin ETF. Will the ETH ETF be different this time, or are you expecting the same?
No, this is clearly a product of this administration and Gary Gensler being appointed. I just think he's going to continue to kick the can down the road until he's finally out. So either there has to be some change within there, or there has to be a federal change of guard in November of 2024 before we actually see this. I think even with this deadline, they'll concoct some absolute BS, reason for why it can't be approved. And I just think they're going to continue to say no and not actually approve it.
Yeah, just keep saying, review process. Drew, quick question here. Is the spade to signal the executioner? That's what they said. It was from chat. Is this... you're muted. You're muted. You know what? I think you put an executioner on that mic there. Yeah, you got muted there. It's all right. It's
Chat,
all right.
this is a hand-forged custom, one-of-one Viking axe. I'm the only one that has it. And yes, it is to signal the executioner because we have to win today.
All right. Well, Metam Matt, last question here. I want to talk about the comparison, all right? I want to compare Bitcoin to Ethereum like we so often do. Bitcoin ETF had a sizable impact on the price. Just the rumor moved it 10%. When it's approved, I'm expecting more than 10%. Will the ETH impact be stronger or weaker than what we've seen with Bitcoin?
I think it's going to be stronger personally because the people that missed the early investment in Bitcoin are
Nope, frozen. I'm going to finish that sentence. Are looking for the next Bitcoin investment. And that's going to be the ETH ETF. My name's Metam Matt. Not like metaverses. Not like gaming. And here he comes back.
All right. So like I was saying, so with Bitcoin, that was the original, right? And it's a store of value. I don't see much else from that, but I think with Ethereum being the first thing to bring us smart contracts, which has pushed this space further than anything else, I definitely think that we could see $20,000 Bitcoin in this next bull run. And I think just the rumor of an ETH ETF is going to definitely skyrocket us. So it would just make sense for people to be looking at this as a really good opportunity. So I think it's going to do better than the Bitcoin.
All right. I do too. For no other reason, it's a smaller market cap. So, $1 billion injected is going to move it a little bit more than $1 billion injected into Bitcoin there. All right. Depending on order books and yada, yada. All right. Let's talk about the white paper. Birthday. I actually am going to reveal the real picture of Satoshi. I'm Sam Bankman-Fried. I have access to this inside knowledge. If we could share my screen real quick, that's the real one right there. No, that's not him. But Satoshi, 2008 picture is now, I'm sorry, white paper. It's the birthday, folks. It turned 15. It was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. First sentence. I've been working on a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer with no trusted third party. Revolutionary at the time out. He did use Wei Dai's B money as a little bit of a template, but the previous tries or previous attempts all had double spin problems, software issues, and Bitcoin was the first one to really solve all those issues. And you can tell today just by its market cap here. Now, a lot of people are saying Bitcoin are going to soar huge, the halvings nearby. But I just want to talk about Satoshi and the anniversary here now. Well, Drew, you work in crypto. And so, I have to think, you go into work, here at Hit Network, we go in when I'm not arguing with TJ, we're having good conversations about crypto here, probably something similar. You probably floated out a Satoshi theory. What is your Satoshi theory? I know these are all guesses here, but Drew, what do you think?
Well, there's that. I mean, there's some pretty compelling evidence that it's government based and that there was like this whole populated article about cryptography and stuff like that was published at MIT. And I forget what the guy's name was that published it, but it was this. Actually, I can scroll down to the bottom of this page. I have it. I was going to do a video on this, but one of the authors sounded a lot like Satoshi Nakamoto. And I'm trying to find his name right here, but Tatsuaki Akamoto. Yep. That was the guy. And he was cited as one of the references in this SHA-256, blah, 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 over at MIT. So my theory is I think it absolutely could be some government stuff. I don't really want to get too tinfoil hatty because, I want to just keep my crown on, right? But I definitely think that there's a case to be made there because with them being able to essentially track everything and then, the centralized exchanges, basically KYCing people's stuff. And whenever even if you send out of a centralized exchange to a non-custodial wallet, they technically saw where you sent it from and where you sent it to. So they could almost attribute that wallet to you, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of tracking that could be done with, cryptocurrency as a whole as it is. So yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the governments and the national security agencies might have a little something to do with it.
Not only that, Satoshi Nakamoto translates to CIA. No, kind of, not really. Actually, that's a real thing, folks. For those who don't know, Satoshi means clever, witty, smart. Naka means inner, medium, and then moto means foundation. So think wise, smart, inner foundation, meaning central intelligence. Think about it. Intelligence, central, it's all right there. So some say it literally means central intelligence. So tell me that doesn't, that doesn't add a little wrinkle to the story right there. All right, Jackie, I want to ask you, the white paper, it's this fully decentralized future money system. Well, I want to go far into the future. Sometimes we're like, well, what about 10 years from now? What about 100 years from now? I'm jumping ahead. Jackie, will we spend Bitcoin on Mars? It's a weird question, but it's a real one.
No.
Okay. Why?
Yeah, initially I'm going to go with no. Mainly because I think the real currency on Mars is just going to be survival based for quite a while. I think it took us a long time in every established civilization to actually create a currency that was necessary in order to trade for other goods. I think most people just figure out that salt is very valuable versus meat or something you went and caught or vegetables that you grew. So for quite a while, I think the currency on Mars will just be survival. And unfortunately, I think that the currency of the US is actually going to be survival soon as well. So,
all right. My one counter, we might send robots for 20 years. So when humans do, let's go ahead and set foot. Maybe it'll be easier than we might imagine. Or we might all be like Matt Damon and The Martian, and it's going to really suck. All right, Metam Matt here. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up with this round here. We brought up the NSA connection. I literally showed you. It means smart central agency. And then there's the NSA angle. Those who might not know, there's 4 OG CryptoPunks, including Hal Finney, Nick Szabo, I think 2 others. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were brought into the NSA within, I think it was 2009. So Bitcoin's less than a year old at this point. The 4 original CryptoPunks were brought into the NSA. Some say, well, I think the NSA was involved. NSA invented the hash algorithm for securing the network, SHA-256. What are your thoughts? Are you worried about the U.S. government was secretly behind Bitcoin and potentially even a backdoor?
No, I don't think I'm worried about it. I really think that Bitcoin, the founder Satoshi, I don't think there was any big mystery to that. I think he was really just somebody who was a part of the peer-to-peer file sharing network in the beginning, and that's where he got the idea. So I personally think that it's probably just FUD to shake people out and to delay things where we know it's inevitably going to go in the future. As we've seen for years, it's just been one thing after another. So no, I don't think I'm worried about that. I think that I don't, from what I've researched, I don't think that you could stop or shut down the Bitcoin network. I just don't think it's possible. So I'm bullish long term for like store of value. And I think that's, furthermore from what you guys were just talking about, I think that that's what it will be in the future. I think we'll have other currencies, but people will just keep going back to that for store of value.
All right.
So,
Well,
wrap it up.
Well,
Yeah,
Dave,
no, I don't.
can I
no,
ask-
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
So-
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt.
I live near the Capitol, and outside of the Capitol is the NSA building, and the Cryptography Museum is in the parking lot of the NSA building.
There you go.
It's
All
not
right.
near any of the other
Weird.
Smithsonian.
Another weird thing. So I Googled it because this is my experience. I remember I just did an NSA video and a Hal Finney video. I did 2 shorts in the past month. And so this was my experience. I just wanted to recreate it for you live at home. If you Google NSA Bitcoin origin, the top thing should be, well, yeah, 4 original CryptoPunks, or cypherpunks were brought into the NSA building. It's suppressed. You go and Google, it's suppressed here. We could show it here. No, they end up like sending you on a side quest about this British guy. So no, British NSA. And then more side quests. Research papers, more side quests, Satoshi Nakamoto, more side quests. And then maybe here, I think then you can see a Nick Carter claim. So buried down like 10 links later, not even in the headline. So, I'm not saying it's connected, folks, but, it adds another little straw to that camel's back. That's all we're saying here. Who do you think invented Bitcoin? I still think it's Hal Finney. Hal Finney had someone in his neighborhood growing up with the name Satoshi Nakamoto, live right down the street from him. Also received the very first Bitcoin transaction. Also, first one to tweet about it. I'm running Bitcoin in 2009. So that's all I got for today. And it looks like, I think it was the costume. The costume propelled you. No, I'm sorry. It was your natural gear and the lack of normal clothes, because this is just how you wake up, baby. So Drew, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts. And please, don't use any weapons on chat.
No weapons will be used. I will put my crown back on, though, so that I can enjoy my celebration. Everybody, come over to my channel. I'm doing a series telling people all of the bullish stuff because the bull run is in full effect. If people are asking you when the bull run's going to happen or if the bull run's happening, it's because it's already happening. So the bull run is probably about to be in full effect very soon, and you need to get ready with all of the top coins and good advice. And I also will save you from rug pulls, which is how I founded my entire channel. So with that being said, come over and check out Drew Wolfer on YouTube, and I appreciate you guys always having me on.
All right. And they said AI invented Bitcoin. That's what chat said. Well, maybe we're in a
Dude,
simulation.
It was Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise did it. There's nothing that man can't do. Scientology is, you know what? I'm going to go read Dianetics. That's all I got. Easy out. See you tomorrow.